At the Republican convention in July, Paul Manafort, Carter Page, and Trump himself changed the Republican Party platform to no longer arm Ukraine. So, the same month that Trump denied Putin's role in Ukraine, his team weakened the party platform on Ukraine. This is no coincidence, in my opinion.
That is Indiana Congressman André Carson, a member of the House Intelligence Committee, questioning FBI Director James Comey and NSA Chief Michael Rogers last month in the first public hearing on Russia. Congressman Carson is joining me now. Welcome, sir. Glad to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Let's get right into it. Do you believe, really, that the president was so closely involved as to be changing his party's platform in Russia's favor?
Listen, I think that the president is a great showman. I think that there are some questionable activities as it relates to his associates from the campaign and within his own administration. But President Trump is a showman. He's a P.T. Barnum of sorts. I think that he has an interesting way of reading people and generating excitement and news coverage. We're talking about him now. But the greater truth, Alex, is Flynn, Manafort, and other associates and their connection to Russia and this influence campaign that Russia clearly was involved with in terms of releasing bots and in terms of having other actors sway folks to vote for Trump.
Were you satisfied with the answers that you got from Directors Comey and Rogers in that hearing? I mean, what do you still want to know?
I think for the most part, in the context of it being an open hearing, Admiral Rogers and Director Comey could only say so much. And having interacted with them over the past couple of years in a closed setting, I think that they are truly committed to protecting our country.
So I know that you have called for Chairman Nunes to recuse himself, all in the interests of a fair investigation. Do you feel at all reassured, sir, that now that Ranking Member Adam Schiff has been able to see the same documents that Nunes did?
Well, I trust Ranking Member Schiff wholeheartedly. I appreciate his leadership. You know, listen, I think that Chairman Nunes is a good person. I've traveled with Devin. I know him personally. But he lacks the objectivity to continue this investigation. You know, to the credit of the House Intelligence Committee, we've gotten this far. We've unearthed necessary truths simply because of the great work of the men and women who serve on that committee and the staff who are involved with that committee on both sides of the aisle. And so anyone who attempts to discount the committee as a whole is making a very, very, very foolish mistake. But
then how do you prove to the public, sir, that your committee is credible and fair with this investigation?
Well, I think that the committee is one of the most bipartisan committees in Congress, as well as our counterpart in the Senate. But in a very real sense, I think the disillusionment that we're seeing nationwide with constituents, with Americans, is valid. And this doesn't help. In many ways, it concretizes and solidifies the disillusionment and distrust that the American people have for their elected officials.
What about the president's short-lived National Security Advisor, Michael Flynn, who's now offered to testify in exchange for immunity? Does he deserve it? Do you think his testimony could be that valuable?
Well, he's obviously getting some strong legal counsel. But, you know, if he were granted immunity, hypothetically speaking, then it furthers President Trump's narrative that, well, see, he was granted immunity. They didn't want to really know the truth. And I think that he would use that as leverage, as he has done through his tweets, which have been pretty transparent. But he has a unique way of manipulating any information that comes out for him or against him. And I think immunity, if it were granted, would simply be used as a political tool by President Trump.
But essentially, your committee has said, no, we're not going to do that. Do you think the Justice Department will follow suit? Do you think the Senate committee will follow suit?
It's difficult to say at this point.
Okay. What about the next step in the investigation? We've got some of your colleagues who are saying, even those on your committee, sir, who say, look, your work has pretty much ground to a halt. How do you move past that?
I disagree. I think that we need to look at an independent commission that has the objectivity and can devote the resources to looking into these matters more thoroughly. There's a lot on the plate of the committee currently. We do a lot of great work, but I think an independent commission is the best decision right now.
Do you think that given everything that's happened, there's a lot of water under this bridge in that committee right now, publicly, and I should think privately as well. Do you think you can effectively work together in a bipartisan fashion?
We always work together for the most part. As I said before, it's one of the most bipartisan committees in Congress. And all of us on either side of the aisle, both sides of the aisle, staffers included, are really dedicated to the work that's presented before us. And we take our jobs very seriously. We've taken an oath to serve. And I think for the most part, we love going to work. And the work is extensive. It requires long hours, but it is certainly an honor. And I think both Republicans and Democrats feel the same way.
Well, I'm glad you say that. And for that, we thank you very much for your efforts on our behalf. Thank you so much, Congressman André Carson.